you're crazy fit people, like super fast, strong. Like, what did you do before HYROX? And like, I'd love to just know that journey of how we got here today.
Okay.
Yeah, Meg goes first. Meg's got a great background.
Well, I mean,
Hang on. Meg's got a great background. I got to say, could have picked a different sport that produced more fruits than what she did, because she's going to say your sport, you're going to say, what's that
what
sport?
is it? I'll have to actually
But the
show
sport that she did set her up to be able to do everything she does now.
Ah, okay.
So when I was really young, from when I was about 3 until I was 10, I was a gymnast and high performance gymnast, was doing the 2 hours training before school, 2 hours after school. And the reason why I stopped was because there was just so much volume, and I actually also cared about my academics. So I just decided I didn't want to be an elite gymnast, and well, at least long term. So that's when I stopped. And then I went to a school that picked me up because they had this program for school aerobics. So it's called sports aerobics, and it's the best way to explain it is it's
Freaking nuts.
It is
dude.
nuts.
It's wild.
Sports aerobics.
It's a 2-minute routine, but it's like doing dance cross gymnastics, but to the intensity of CrossFit, as in zone 7 billion heart rate is what it feels like you're doing for 2 minutes.
Gosh.
And you have to be flexible on both legs. You have to be strong. Like you do one-arm push-ups, one-on-one leg push-ups in the middle of a routine while you're dancing, and you have to smile the whole time and actually present your routine. So I think that's also why now when I'm in pain, I smile, because I'm so used to actually having to smile when I'm in pain.
That's so funny.
But I think it set me up for any kind of sport because it gives you such good balance and strength, and I'm able to adapt to so many other sports. But I do sometimes think that it's huge in Europe. It's not very big there's a different type of sports aerobics that's bigger in the Asian and the US countries, but Australia's actually really good at it. It's just not huge. So reflecting, I probably should have picked something that was a bit more universal.
Meg was world champion at that sport.
World champion.
Yeah, I did win Worlds.
Oh
so,
my gosh.
which was funny actually, because
That's awesome.
Will and I won Worlds for HYROX last year in the mixed doubles category in our age group.
Yeah.
And it was funny because my older sister's also a world champion for sports aerobics. And my dad, obviously Will got married into the family. I also have a younger sister, but my dad, when Will got married, when we won Worlds together, he goes, I finally accept you into the family because you can be part of the world champion family. I just thought it was so funny. So yeah, but it was my second time being a world champion, which I never thought I would get the opportunity to compete again. And I freaking love competing. So yeah, but
I got to see a video of this.
Yeah, do you want to see it now or later?
You can show me
I'll show you
afterwards.
later.
Show me
Okay.
afterwards.
It's
That's
like
incredible.
nothing you've ever seen.
So it's like a type of, I don't want to say CrossFit, but like cross training. Like you just have to be very multifaceted, very athletic,
kind of like an
aerobically fit.
Energizer bunny
Yeah.
dancing around the stage for
Interesting.
2 minutes.
That makes sense for HYROX.
Yeah, but I mean different energy system, but same ability to push through pain.
Yeah. So you basically went from that. How long did you do that for until you got into CrossFit or to HYROX?
After I did that until I was 16, and when I actually started, I was really bad at it. But then I just worked really hard for 6 years and ended up being world champion. And then after that, I got into gym, started just doing standard lifting and that sort of thing. And then probably 4 years ago now, I started running, just not knowing what I was doing really, but just going for runs because I enjoyed it. And I started listening to Goggins in about 2019 and just started loving how running gives you the opportunity to learn to push yourself past that point of wanting to stop, because I definitely know how to do that, but I'm a big believer in that unless you use it, you lose it. And I think that running gives you that opportunity to continuously push past that point of wanting to stop and build confidence through that. And that's where a lot of my confidence has come from knowing what I'm capable of and that I really can do anything I put my mind to. So I'm a huge fan of running. But we didn't find HYROX until last year, actually. We competed in Melbourne and we didn't know what it was. We'd actually been overseas for the last 8 months, which I know we're going to talk about later. And we got back not fit and did Melbourne HYROX. We actually dropped a high 58. Don't worry, I'm giving it labels. High 58 in Melbourne, which was really fast for the time.
This is mixed doubles?
Yeah, this was last year though. And I think the record at the time was...
we just spent 8 months overseas for Mega, going out and sourcing all the fabrics, meeting with all the manufacturers. We had a one-way ticket over to Europe. We had no return flight back and we ended up overseas for 8 months. The last place we went to was London, and Meg went out and met and caught up with Lucy Davis, who's, do you know Lucy Davis?
I've never met her in person, but yeah.
She is a weapon.
She's a weapon. Such a good person. And so it just got beaten actually, but she did her first solo opens race and got the world record.
I saw that.
Which was
Got
sick.
beaten like 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
Sucks.
But she still got it, right?
Yeah.
And so we went out and we met and caught up with Lucy, and Lucy was saying to us, like, surely you guys have heard of HYROX, and we'd never heard of it. And then just by, I shouldn't say coincidence, divine time, the week after we got back, there was a race in Melbourne, and it was the first time HYROX had come to Australia. They did first year, which was last year, they just did Sydney and Melbourne. That was it. And so they had Melbourne on. And so we rocked up to Melbourne. No idea what we were doing.
It was hilarious.
As in, we got to say this story. The week, so we got back. We heard about it for a week. And so we went, great, let's go and do this race.
This is such a funny story.
Went to the gym. Oh, I said to Meg, look, we should probably run through these movements before we do the race.
I mean, I don't ever do sled push. I don't know if I can push that.
I don't think I've done sled push or sled pull ever. Go to the gym. And this is when we first realized that not every carpet is the same. There's AstroTurf, then there's HYROX carpet, and there's different types of AstroTurf, different types of sleds. So we set up, we do a warm up. We know how to did up and train. So did a whole warm up, got all the stations set up, and then had to write down on a piece of paper what we're doing at each station because we didn't know.
No idea what it was.
I've just gone and loaded the weights up. And now this isn't pro weight, right? This is mixed pairs weight. So this is
it's pro women's
weight, but open weight for men's. So it's not that heavy. Loaded all the weights up on the sled. So we go run, come back, ski, run, come back. Meg goes to hit the sled first. Bang, hits a sled. This thing doesn't move a centimeter, right? Just goes, oons. And I go, come on, Meg, let's go. She goes, I'm really trying.
I got it.
Hits it even harder. Her feet just slide out and she just lands on her belly.
Didn't go anywhere.
And then she goes, I can't move it. So I jump on it. I find it really hard to move, but I move it. And I say, no stress. I'm always just half glass full guy. I said, no stress. Like, this is easy. I'll just do the sled push and then you can do some more stuff later on in the race. Get the sled pull. She can't move sled pull. So then I'm like, okay, I'll do all of the sled push.
As if I was going to be able to move sled pull if I can do sled push. Like,
but this is the funny part. Then we get to burpees. This is Meg's girl math. Then we get to burpees. And
don't be saying girl math.
We get to
burpees. Watch yourself, buddy.
We know all about girl math.
So I'm thinking, hang on.
Good at math.
I've just done all sled push, all sled pull, which realistically I should be doing anyway. And then we get into burpees. And then Meg said, okay, we'll just split this 50-50. And I was thinking, no, you're going to split this 100% you, and I'm just going to walk and rest on the burpees.
But we also didn't understand any of the strategy of HYROX.
So that was our intro into racing. So we rocked up thinking, I have to do all sled push, all sled pull. And then, but the good thing at HYROX is they have workout. They have a warm-up area that has the movements in there. And Meg jumped on the sled, just went boom and just slid it. And then we went, right, this isn't what it's going to be.
We actually ended up dropping the fastest sled push time of the whole Melbourne competition.
Oh my gosh. Because your training was shit way heavier.
Yeah.
Well, we just hit it so hard.
No, the AstroTurf was
the turf.
that we were
I think it was a minute. Anyway,
so Worlds was our second ever
we did the first race.
That's crazy.
Did the first race, came first there. And then from that, we qualified for Worlds. And there were no other races in Australia. That was it. It was done. So then our second race was Worlds. And then, so the second race went over to France, which was such a dope experience. And we raced pairs at Worlds, which was, it was a tough race. Again, traveled and got sick. But we raced on the day and it was such an epic experience.
Do you know what I think is so funny is sometimes I hear HYROX athletes complaining about how far they have to fly to get to their races, and it's like 3, maybe 5 hours. Thinking try 30 hours.
Yeah, I mean that's like
from
the
Australia.
complete opposite side of the world.
Yeah.
Dang. So and you guys won world championships there, right?
Yeah.
We won our age group.
Okay.
And we're actually not. We'll
we
be
came
real.
third overall.
We were disappointed with the time because we wanted to go. We wanted to go 50. That was the goal
close to
for
50
it.
minutes as possible.
And we did 55. That's a huge difference, right? But it was more of in that race, we were just hanging on. Well, we were definitely spent. So we didn't get the fastest pairs time at Worlds. We just won our age category of under 29. We came third for that. So looking at what we knew we could do, because we did put a good training block in for that, that was disappointing in knowing what we could do. But it was also epic, and you got to celebrate the wins. We're the first Australians to ever get gold.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
No other gold.
That's incredible.
For Australia. Still, obviously, that was the only
awesome.
gold.
Dang. Is HYROX big in Australia? Like, is it?
It's huge now.
Really?
It's gone nuts.
Probably
If you're
thanks
not
to you
doing
guys, partially.
HYROX, what are you doing?
Yeah. Well, I think as you were saying before we came in, as in people are doing certain things because it's helpful for their business or helpful for their social media and things like that. It was running and marathons, and then it was ultras, and now it's HYROX.
But I will say, I think HYROX gives people such a great opportunity to feel good. As in, if that's the best, this is the best you will feel in training when you're doing running and gym, is what I believe. I think hybrid is the best functional fitness for your life. So I understand why people like HYROX, and I do think it will hang around. Plus, it gives people an opportunity to feel like athletes, everyday people.
100%.
So I'm a huge fan of it.
Yeah, because it's not the training, the industry of making money, right, comes from overcomplicating things. It's super complicated. You got to work with us or else you're going to know nothing.
Right.
But the reality is training for HYROX is really complicated because you got all the movements, then you got the running, and it's not just running, it's running compromised. So there's actually
Like max heart
there's
rate.
such a science behind everything you do in HYROX for optimizing what you do. And so that's a big part of our business is we have Train to Go Squad, which is online training programs, started in running programs called Run Mega. Then HYROX got released, and then Meg's recently released Build a Booty, which is a glute growing program for mainly for women, but guys and girls definitely do it.
Yeah.
But I will say, not only to grow it, but to make it strong too, because there is definitely a difference, especially when it comes to running.
For sure. I mean, you could just eat a bunch of croissants and get a big ass if that's what you want.
But I mean, like, how many times do you hear people saying, oh, I have pain because my glute med is weak?
Yeah.
As in, that's more what I'm meaning. As in, it's
Right.
targeted to not only make you have a voluptuous booty, but to actually have strong glute meds and mins, because that's key to being a hybrid athlete too.
For sure. I
Yeah,
love
so
that.
that's been epic with us doing the sport. And then obviously Meg's background, this is what she studied at a university.
Yeah.
Or college, if you're American.
College, if you're American.
We
Was
say
it
university.
Do you? Oh, yeah, UT.
Yeah.
UT.
UT?
They're interchangeable over here, though.
Okay.
College or university. But, dude, I want to know your journey into HYROX and just fitness in general.
Yes, sick.
Oh, I did miss that actually, that we
All
got
right.
into ultra marathons in between the running, as in then we started running ultra marathons, but more from a mindset point of view. But I'm sure you're going to say
That's
that.
the best part about ultras.
Yeah,
It's so mental.
it is all mental.
Yeah.
And I love that when you get to the start line, you cannot pick who's going to win, as in
No.
anyone could win. You can't tell. It's not like a marathon where probably the skinniest dude wins.
Right. Right.
But it's like anyone could win. It's who wants to hurt the most, which is quite similar to HYROX actually.
Yeah.
But you go.
Well, I just finished that piece on Train to Go Squad. So it's been epic, Meg launching her programs and having that, because we when we finished our races, obviously we were a bit disappointed with the times. Afterwards, Meg just had a girl from America walk up to her and their whole crew and say, hey, I had to come over and say hi. And they followed Meg's programs. They did the running program, they did the HYROX program, and it gave us so much confidence in terms of doing the running races and the HYROX race. And that's what's so amazing about the internet and social media when it's used well, is that you can connect with so many people and just spread so much information. Because if you meet someone training for HYROX, one, they're really nervous because they think, I don't really know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And then two, you say, what are you doing? And the most common answer is, I'm just on Instagram, I'm using ChatGTP, I'm looking at certain
Or I'm
things.
just trying to run and do some lifting. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, yeah, Meg
That's basically
just,
my approach.
Meg just, well, I mean, and the thing is, but that might work for some people because
Yeah.
you're doing it for the journey, learning it yourself.
Right.
Other people want to do it with the experience of having a good time in racing and building confidence from doing those sorts of feats. That's when Meg's programs crush it. Is that because it just takes all the guesswork out of it? But then being able to travel overseas, we didn't think we knew anyone in Austin. We didn't think we were going to know anyone at Dallas, and have someone from overseas, a whole crew of them come up and say that to Meg, isn't it?
It was more than one. I had
That's so
heaps
cool.
come up in Dallas. I was so flattered and excited. It was actually one of the best parts of the race was it's so many people came up and said, I'm doing a program, and I just raced, and it was so great. It's so nice to hear.
That's
Because
awesome.
a lot does go into the programs. They're not really standard programs, particularly the running ones are focused more around mindset than just running, as in obviously you can start running, but people go, well, I just want to stop running. Like, how do you actually get into putting down kilometers and pushing past that point of wanting to stop? And we literally detail over the 8, 10 or 12 weeks, you have a mindset challenge every single week. And it's just from my personal experience, what took me from being someone who was quite fearful and negative and lacking in confidence to pretty much earning my confidence and knowing who I am, because I put in the work to build the stack of undeniable proof, as Hormozi says,
Yes.
that you are who you say you are and you are capable of doing it. And so that's why I'm so passionate, particularly about the running programs, because they have the mindset component that builds the confidence in you. Like if people had more confidence in themselves and how special they are being who they are, and they would have the confidence to go and pursue their passions. And I believe that everyone's greatest contribution to humanity is to pursue their passion.
Facts.
That's the greatest gift you can give to the world, is to do your passion. And imagine how happy everyone would be and how joyful and how much more helpful everyone would be and fulfilled. That's definitely why I'm passionate about it. But we've gone so rogue. Back to the start.
No, I love that. I love hearing all this stuff. We'll definitely put a link if people want to check out any of the programs.
That's so nice.
I'll put a link
Thank
in
you.
the description of the podcast so people
Sick.
can check it out. Yeah, because I mean, I love that mindset component. I don't see a lot of training programs that have that. It's just like run this many miles or kilometers, do this workout, and that's it. But as you know, like running endurance sports, it's so mentally demanding. So having that piece is important. But okay, your fitness sports journey. Let's hear it. I want to know how the hell you're so fast and fit.
Well, I mean, that's why I'm loving this season of my life right now, is that because so all of my 20s was all business. I had a construction and property business with my brother. We just worked all the time. I loved it. Don't regret any part of it. And we had a lot of success all through our 20s in doing that. My sports during that time was, I've always loved extreme sports. I was really focused on backcountry skiing and big mountain skiing, and then big wave, or just surfing in general and big wave surfing.
Nice.
But the thing was that we never made enough time to do it to the fully extent to be at the top of the field. So, I mean, I've made some dope videos across YouTube on my skiing back when I was a bit younger, and I love doing that sort of stuff.
Yo, he was sponsored by GoPro, and his video has
Really?
like 200K, and they
gotta
don't even
watch
have
these.
followers. Yeah.
That's sick.
Yeah,
Sorry,
so
I'm just
I
jobbing
miss
you in.
I love this.
Old humble over there. So.
I missed the jump on YouTube. 12 years ago, we put out a video called In the Season, and yeah, it got 200,000 views, and that was 12 years ago. So
That's awesome.
And then I think we had 400 subscribers. So I
crazy.
definitely missed the YouTube jump, but I wouldn't be sitting here, right? So the question was, in terms of sport, the pinnacle for me is the fear right before you do something.
It's so weird.
And I don't really feel it as fear. I love the emotion that you get right before you're about to jump into something. So if I'm at the top of a line skiing, coming down to hit a huge jump, or hitting a technical line, or knowing that I want to get this thing filmed in a certain way, I've got one crack to ski it a certain way, that's the feeling that I definitely seek. I love that feeling. And so
it's so
a
weird.
lot of people would say their most hated part of HYROX is in the box right before they start.
Yeah.
That's by far my favorite. Because if you think about it, right, when else in your life do you get to feel like that?
Never.
When else do you actually get to stand there and think there's all this pressure, nerves, excitement, whatever you want to call it? When do you get to experience a feeling like that?
It's so rare.
Mm-hmm.
Really never.
Well, I
Unless
mean,
you put yourself in that
But
position.
yeah, you can do it all the time, right? You sign to a bunch of races,
Yeah.
start businesses, ask to go out on a date that you don't want to be doing because you're nervous. Like there's all those scenarios in life. And because then when you succeed from that, it just makes that feeling that much better.
Mm.
And so the goal for me is not to go out and get the time or the finish or everything else like that. The goal is for me is to be put in that position of being uncomfortable, because like that's where the growth is.
Yeah.
And that's when things shift. So big mountain skiing and surfing, that for me, that was everything that we did for sport going through there. And I always kept fit. Like I always like to run a couple of times a week, but I never did any marathons or half marathons and things like that. So now that I'm not involved in those companies anymore, and Meg and I are doing everything with Mega and Train to Go Squad, it works perfectly for us to be in the space of doing training and doing races and things like that, because it's not a distraction from what I'm doing. It's a direct complement.